from New York City, America's accountant, Dan Geltrude. Dan, thank you so much for joining me. So Dan, I do have a few Alexas in the house. That being said, I've never asked Alexa for a challenge, but this report of what this mom is saying is just completely startling.
It's disturbing, that's for sure. And I got to admit to you, Steph, that when I was a kid, I actually stuck a key in an outlet and nobody told me to do it. So clearly, this young girl had enough sense not to follow that advice. So listen, these are the issues that you're going to have related to such reliance on technology. So when we're asking technology like Alexa for advice, we have to take that no different than other advice we get from people. Does it make sense? In this particular case, because you did have a young girl, this is the danger of how we have our young people getting involved with technology. And to some extent, they don't have the maturity to be able to decipher through, is this a good idea or not a good idea? So I'm glad this kind of worked out, but this just goes to show you there's some real pitfalls out there with how much we rely many times blindly on technology.
Yeah, obviously, technology is not perfect. It never will be. That being said, do you think that this is a huge black eye for Amazon? Is this going to affect sales?
No, I don't think overall it's going to have any type of material impact on what happens with Amazon. I think it's just one of those things that are out there. That's a warning that we need to use common sense and always be vigilant. With that said, of course, I think the more time goes on and the more technology becomes advanced, the more we continue to rely on technology. So I'm not so sure, unfortunately, that we won't have more cases similar to this in the future.
Yeah, and then we just always hear a bunch of wild, crazy stories about what happens with Alexas at home, bizarre stories, whether it be little kids ordering a ton of stuff online through Alexa, or Alexa kind of responding to random conversations here and there, and some of the other things. So I would just add this to the list, that's for sure. Now I wanted to shift gears and talk about unemployment. So the number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits fell last week, but we're not necessarily in the clear. So I hear a lot of people taking a victory lap, and the Biden administration taking a victory lap on the unemployment numbers, but I don't really see it as like they should be patting themselves on the back, because a lot of the jobs that are being filled are the jobs that already existed. So they're not actually creating new jobs.
No, that's the whole fallacy of these job numbers in many cases. They use the term job creation. That's not the case at all. This is job recovery. Remember where we were prior to the pandemic in terms of the amount of people that we had working, and we didn't have these labor shortages, or at least not as anywhere near as bad. And we didn't have a lot of the challenges to the supply chain that we currently have. So what you really have to look at now, which to me tells the whole story, the difference between the amount of job openings and the amount of people unemployed is about 4 million. And what that tells me, Stephanie, is literally no one right now should be out of a job. There's more jobs than we have people. So unemployment should really be at zero. The issue that we really need to look at is why that's happening. And I would say we've incentivized people to stay home and not work, number one. And now we're also mandating people out of work. And between the two of those things, I think that we've created this problem, or at least the government has created this problem. And so many businesses, particularly small businesses, are really suffering, not to mention all the inflation, which is the other effect that we have to this cause.
Yeah, no, and again, it's just incredible how many available jobs there are that still need to be filled. And it's just such a burden and a strain, especially on the people who are working, because of a lot of the staff shortages. A lot of people are taking on a bigger burden than they would normally. So definitely burnout is alive and well. And you look at some of the examples, for example, the airlines and the thousands of flights that had been canceled over the holidays. I mean, a lot of them, I flew over the holidays, and almost every single flight that I was on, they were delayed because they had a shortage of workers who were putting the suitcases on the plane.
Yeah, well, shortages everywhere in terms of labor, Steph, is affecting everything that we're doing in life. It really doesn't matter where you go. Even if you're just going out to a restaurant, things take longer. It takes longer to get your order, not to mention everything is that much more expensive. So, this labor shortage, which I believe was man made as opposed to virus created, it's all about our reaction to the virus has really caused all of these problems in the supply chain because we don't have enough people to provide service. We don't have enough people to create things, build things, make things that need to come out to the market. So until we get a handle on getting people back to work, I suspect that we're going to be feeling the impact of inflation for quite some time into 2022.
Yeah. And when it comes to the economy, what do you expect in 2022?
Unless things change as far as policy, Steph, I actually expect more of the same. Now, let's hope that at some point in time, we're going to get over the hump of the virus and its variants, and then we could have some smooth sailing as far as getting people back to work. That's certainly going to help. But until we start to create change in policy, which is overstimulating the economy right now. We continue to print money. We continue to build back better is looming out there for 2022. If these types of things are going to become law, you are going to have more and more demand, more money printed, I should say, and we're still not going to have enough supply to meet that demand. And inflation, to me, is the number one threat to this economy because ultimately, if we can't get it under control, it's going to force the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates. And if we raise interest rates, we could easily throw this economy into a recession. That's the danger that's out there for not getting this under control.
Yikes. Well, thanks for breaking that down. We appreciate it. We're going to leave it
Doom
here.
and gloom a little bit, Steph.
Yeah,
Sorry
I know.
about
Like a
that.
lot of doom and gloom on my first show 2022, but hopefully things will
Sorry.
change. It's okay. Thanks, Dan.
All right.
Coming up next.